high five อีก会話
How do you look for girlfriend or boyfriend in America? They are growing up, it's very difficult to find. If you're a student, you go to school, you always interact with some others, but adults just go to the office and just work and bye like that. So it's so difficult to find the right
Oh,
one.
I definitely agree.
Yeah.
We use online dating a lot, and I think that is the most common up-to-date tool for dating, as far as like young adults are concerned, or really anybody that's an adult, to be honest. It's it's just so difficult, I think, nowadays to meet somebody in an organic way where, let's just say you go to a coffee shop and you see this person, and people, I feel like, are very isolated. Like they might be like on their cell phone, maybe they're checking something or listening to something, so it's really hard to like approach people because it might seem kind of off-putting, right? If you go to like a coffee shop, or if you go to the market, for example, um, and try to talk to somebody, people, it's just very off-putting. It's like, unless you know that person, you usually don't want to bother them. So it's like, it's easier. Like if I was to look for somebody, in my personal experience, the first thing I would probably try is online dating, because it just feels like it's an easier way of putting yourself out there, especially with the technological advances that we have today. Like we have Facebook, online apps, you have Instagram, you have Twitter, all these different social media platforms where people can express themselves and talk about who they are. Well, dating is almost kind of going in that same direction now, where you can post a picture of yourself. You can even do like videos of yourself, like introducing who you are, what you like to do for fun, things like that. So there's just so many new ways of using social media as a way to meet people versus going to a coffee shop. Not that that can't happen. Like I don't think it's impossible to meet somebody in a traditional way. Like you can go to the park and maybe meet somebody, but it's just I feel like there's sort of a social enigma where people feel uncomfortable just randomly reaching out to somebody, because there's just so many sort of fears I feel like people have. Like they're afraid to kind of go out there, put themselves out there. Um, Fear of rejection, to be honest with you. I think that's a real thing that a lot of people feel. So if you're a single adult, it's like, oh, it's so much harder to put yourself out there. At least I'm speaking for myself. It can be kind of rough, right? So that's what I would say.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, you said app, the matching app like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you check their faces. So,
Hmm.
have you ever met someone on the app?
I have.
Oh,
I've
okay.
actually
Mhm.
it's been pretty rare. It's been a while ago, but there was a time where I did meet somebody using the app, and we went on a date and everything.
Oh.
We initially started talking once we matched, right?
Mhm.
We started texting on the chat app, and then after that, we set up a date to go to a coffee shop and something like that, like a public place that we can both meet up, that we felt was a safe space
Oh,
to
yeah.
talk about and kind of get to know one another. So no one is really putting themselves in danger because they're going to a public place where you both can meet together. So I always recommend that sort of as a best way to start your first date. So you really know that person, you know what I mean? Kind of get to know what they are face to face versus just online. So yeah.
Okay. So it could be dangerous.
Oh yes.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of people that will pretend to be somebody that they're not. Like they might post a picture of somebody that's a completely different gender or race, and you don't even know if that's the person you're talking to. Like there's documentaries out there called Catfish. I don't know if you've heard of that, where basically they would pretend to be somebody else. Like it could you could be looking for a man, and that man might be a woman that you're talking to, but
Oh
on their account, it shows a guy, right? So you're thinking you're dating a guy, and it's like a different person. It's like, what? So yes, there's literally there's literally documentaries out there where this person is they talk about their whole experience. It's so crazy. So you have to be careful. You really do. You have to pay attention to very little details.
Yeah, so at the time, how should you do? Yeah, pick is very nice, but actually, the
You can be
guy.
very different. You could be from it being like someone that's skinny and in their fit picture, and then let's say they're extremely overweight, to it being either a person that's a man that's a woman, or someone that's a different race. I mean, it's just so many different things. So when you're looking for a chat app or an online dating app, sometimes it's good to even be picky on which type of matching app you're going to use, because there are some programs that are kind of sketchy. Like they don't have like the free ones. I'll tell you this. So usually apps that are free are going to have a higher risk of people doing those kind of things. If you have to pay money, for example, to date, you're going to not, it's going to be less likely, because no one's going to want to spend money to pretend to be somebody else. It's generally going to be the free apps that people will do that, because they can take advantage of people like that, right? So that's the only downside I would say when it comes to online dating, is that it could be somebody that you don't want to talk to. But there's obviously a lot of positives. Those would be sort of the cons. But the positives is it's easy and convenient, and it can be easier to meet somebody that way, rather than having to try and talk to somebody or try to put yourself in a very uncomfortable situation publicly. So that would be something I would say as well. Yeah.
Oh, I
Mhm.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's kind of the same as here. Thank you so much.